Good morning, everyone. I'm the Reverend Barney Evans Hills. I'm a priest in the Scottish Episcopal Church on the coast of Fife. It's been a while since I've been able to address you, and it's always a real privilege and a pleasure. I feel like I'm just meeting with old friends and new. This morning we're in my kitchen in Fife. And I have the back door open. There might be a neighborhood cat that wanders in, so if you hear a little meow and me run to chase it out, that's what's going on. But it's wonderful to have the sea air coming into my kitchen. And being in here is purposeful. I was remembering a few years back when a group of us went from the Diocese of St. Albans to visit our counterparts in Sweden, and we were taken to a retreat house on the coast of a lake. And as we entered the retreat house, we went straight into the kitchen. And it was a wonderful kitchen, about twice the size of the one I have now. And there was this wonderful smell of fresh baking, fresh bread and fresh coffee cake, and all kinds of baked goods were there, set out in the island in the middle, and somebody was cutting the cake and the bread. And there's tea and coffee on the go, and we were told to just help ourselves, pile our plates on. Yeah, this morning I've got my cup of tea with me. And then we sat down to chat. It was a Swedish tradition of, I think it's called fika. It was wonderful. The warden of the retreat house then explained how it works. He said that when a child has come home from school, what they do is they dump their bags at the door and they go straight to the kitchen looking for, hey, Mom, Dad, what's to eat? And they're fed and they're embraced, and then they sit and they tell about their day. So the whole point of the entrance to the retreat house is that you feel immediately embraced and fed and are asked to tell about your day, tell about you, about who you are. It's about welcome. Now, what I'd like to share with you this morning is what is the gospel reading from the Gospel of Matthew, and it's used in the Scottish Episcopal Church this coming Sunday. As it reads, "Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward." Now, what I want to talk about this morning is that space, that lack of personal intimacy that we're going through at the moment, our need for what's called social distancing or self-isolation or even shielding. It's a difficult time. Yesterday I was privileged to take part in a conversation with academics and clergy and lay ministers, and there was this wonderful therapist who spoke of the importance of love and the importance of meeting face to face. While yes, there's something wonderful about being able to see people face to face on these Zoom meetings, and we can meet people from across the globe and we don't have to get on an airplane, and there's something really wonderful and special about that. There's still nothing that replaces that face-to-face personal meeting. She talks about getting a sense of someone's mood, which you don't just get from the face, but you get from the whole demeanor, the whole body, the whole atmosphere with which somebody brings into a room. She talks about how people smell and that their bodily responses can't be perceived online. All those small little cues that we get from one another. She talked also about how an act of kindness, giving a glass of cold water, as talked about in the gospel reading, an act of kindness to someone who's suffered great cruelty can bring on tears, and you need to just sit and be with that person. That's difficult to happen online. You can't hand over a glass of cold water. Meeting in person was discussed as being a holy space. That one-on-one conversation, a sharing of experiences, of praying together, is sharing a holy space. Our liturgy as Christians surrounds a bodily experience. It's about the sights and the sound and the smell and the emotion and the memory of what's gone before, the times before, the liturgies before, the places before, the taste and the consuming of the bread and the wine. And all of that is something that we are separated from at the moment. But that separation is not just limited to our current situation with the pandemic. There are many times people have been separated from that experience of the Eucharist, whether it's through disability, imprisonment, illness, inability to get a wheelchair through the door of a church. We separate people all the time. And maybe this time is a reminder of the times that we distance people unintentionally, but we keep them at a distance. Dietrich Bonhoeffer has written a piece about that absence of presence, absence of the presence of the people that we love around us. And I'd like to read a little passage from him. There is nothing that can replace the absence of someone dear to us. And one should not attempt to do so. One must simply hold and endure it. At first that sounds very hard, but at the same time it is a great comfort. For to the extent the emptiness truly remains unfilled, what remains a connection. It remains a connection to the other person through that emptiness. It is wrong to say that God fills the emptiness. God in no way fills it, but much more precisely leaves it unfilled, and thus helps us to preserve, even in pain, that authentic relationship. Furthermore, the more beautiful and full the remembrances, the more difficult the separation. But gratitude transforms the torment of memory into silent joy. One bears what was lovely in the past, not as a thorn, but as a precious gift, a gift deep within, a hidden treasure of which one can always be certain. We carry that presence, whether it's of people, of place, of sharing in the Eucharist together. We carry that with us always, and that cannot be destroyed. Another person partaking in the conversation yesterday also talked about the other ways in which we separate. Whether, who decides that this is a holy space? And we had a little discussion about that. He talked about who decides what is pure and what is defiled. And he was coming from the perspective of someone who has witnessed caste discrimination, where Dalits have been considered unclean. And I've experienced in various places across the globe the ways in which we consider people unclean. I'm thinking of the United States at one point. Black people had to use a different drinking fountain from the white people. Black people had to sit at the back of the bus. That's the kind of determination of who's pure and who is defiled. People were unable to get married because of the color of their skin. what about the notions of purity and defilement? And I asked, but are not all spaces, all encounter with one another, even those most difficult, the difficult encounters with nature, are these not also holy? What about conflict and war zones? Homes where domestic violence occurs? Neighborhoods where tear gas has been fired or lives crushed? Are these not also holy? Do they not also take on holiness in remembrance? In the remembrance brought through the many shrines of flowers and cards, or in the passion of protest at injustice, are these not also sacred spaces? Gospel reading spoke of welcome and of reward for giving that welcome. And taking inspiration from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, I would say that the reward of that welcome is that sacredness, that remembrance, the joy of a memory that you always carry with you, and the wound. We carry these with us through the wilderness spaces of the emptiness that we are experiencing now, and look forward to that joy when one day we will be with our loved ones again. Amen.